Hello and welcome to Louise Singleton Creations. If you've watched my Aqua Cast videos before, you might have heard me say I really wanted to treat myself to a vibrating plate to put my Aqua Cast onto to get rid of the bubbles, and I never got around to it. But Christmas came, Mum gave me some money, and I've treated myself to a vibrating plate for my Aqua Cast. Will it make any difference? Let's see. Another wonderful gift I received over Christmas was a box with 3 new moulds in it, and that was from Buwan Nicole, and I'm going to be using one of those today. Now, I'm not going to tell you what it is exactly, other than it's a candle jar mould, because you know I love those. But yeah, I'll let you wait until I demould it to see the details on there. We all love surprises, don't we? So I'm going to keep you in suspense. So here I am measuring out my Aqua Cast. I've added the water and I'm just about to add the Aqua Cast powder. I used the Aqua Cast calculator on the Elichem website to find out exactly how much I would need. And this mould does take a lot of Aqua Cast powder. Once measured, I gave it a really good mix with my silicone spatula until it was smooth and creamy and ready to pour. Once I'd finished mixing, it was time to add some colour. I'm using one of my homeware design pigments and it's called Ocean. I didn't put too much in. I wanted it to be quite pale today for my finished result. And so yeah, a couple of drops and that was enough. One of the things I love most about using Aqua Cast is the way it takes on the pigment. You can make the colour as pale or as deep as you like. If you're using pigments, especially for eco resin, if you're using, like mica powder or acrylic paint or something like that, the finished result will be pale. If you want to have a deep, vivid colour, you will need pigments, especially for eco resins, which is what I'm using here. But anyway, I just wanted it pale. I could have used mica powder if I'd wanted to. Now I'm ready for the mould, and this is the mould I'm using today. You can get some kind of idea about what it looks like, but honestly, until it comes out of the mould, wait until you see that detail. It's wonderful. And it's got the mould housing, as you always, well, not always, usually get with the moulds from Buwan Nicole. And this one has the little clips to clip it together. A lot of the newer moulds are magnetic, but this is one of the older ones which I selected. And yeah, I loved the mould, but it is one of the older ones, so it's clips instead of magnets. And yeah, it's a beautiful, soft, supple mould. And here's the lid. You can see more detail on the lid part of the mould. Can you guess what it is yet? I bet you can. Oh, honestly, I loved it when I saw the photograph of it. I couldn't wait to try this one out. So I'm just filling it just a little bit at a time, giving it a move around, making sure that I spread the Aqua Cast onto all those ridges that were on there. I can't do that on the jar part of the mould, but I could do that on the nice open part, for the lid. That's nice and open and you can get your spatula in there. And then I just filled it up. So normally when I'm filling my moulds, after I've got the Aqua Cast in there, I give them a really good pat for a long time on the sides. I bang the table, pat the sides again, and I keep going for as long as I can to let the little bubbles rise to the top. Now on this mould there's a lot of detail on the sides, a lot of little areas for bubbles to get trapped as they rise up. And this time, because I wanted to try out my vibrating plate, I think it's also called an oscillating plate. It's for dentists, I think. Anyway, because I wanted to try out my oscillating plate, I didn't do much tapping on the jar of the jar mould. I decided to just leave it to the machine just to see how good it was. And yeah, this is my first attempt. We'll see what happens. And I must add, before I begin, I bought this oscillating plate for myself. It's not a sponsored video. I just wanted to buy one and try it out. So, yeah, that's what you see is a completely honest opinion, and it always is anyway, even when it's sponsored videos, I'm honest. But yeah, I bought this for myself. So here it goes onto the plate. It's only small, and you do need to be careful if you're using a small mould because it can move around, but this is big and heavy and it seemed to be quite stable on there. Let's turn the volume up so you can hear what it sounds like. It's quite loud, isn't it? And that was on the lowest setting. So anyway, as you will see, the bubbles are starting to rise and you can see the movement in there. It's starting to do the job. And there I was just turning up the, what would you call it? The speed? The intensity? I've just turned it up. Let's listen to how loud it is now. Yeah, it's even louder. It was quite loud. My dog was quite upset about it, I've got to say. But yeah, it seems to be doing the trick, doesn't it? There's lots and lots of bubbles coming up to the top. And let's have a look at the actual machine. So there, that's what it looks like, and it's just got a dial on the front to increase or decrease the intensity. And it's very simple, but it seems to work quite well. I did only put the mould on there for about 5 minutes. I wasn't really sure how long to leave it on for. What I did was I kind of just waited until the bubbles stopped popping at the top and I couldn't see any more movement there. And then I took it off and I put the lid on for a little while. So we'll have a look when it comes out of the mould to see if it's any good. So when I put the lid on, I could tell before I let go of the lid that it was starting to move, and I realised I would have to keep hold of it, otherwise it would have shot off and there would have been Aqua Cast all over my craft room. So I kept hold of it. So that's one thing to bear in mind if you want to purchase one of these. It does need to be something fairly heavy on there if you want to be able to let go of it. But it's still doing the trick, isn't it? Even though I've got to hold it, those bubbles are still getting released. So I let it cure for about an hour and then it was time to take it out of the mould. I love these Buan Nicole moulds when it comes to demoulding. They're so soft and supple, they're very easy to take off. So are you ready to see what this mould is actually of? Let's have a look. There it is, isn't it gorgeous? But on that first side that I'm showing you there were a couple of big air bubbles trapped there. So it's gorgeous. I love the finished piece, but there are a few, like that's the place. There's a few little air bubbles trapped in there, but mostly, especially along the rim and the base, it's totally smooth and beautiful. Not a bubble anywhere. So I'm really happy actually with the results. I think what I will do on my second attempt is I will still do some of the patting on the sides, just a little bit before putting it onto the vibration plate. Yeah, I think that combined with using the vibration plate will give it an extra chance to get rid of the bubbles. If it was a smooth-sided mould, you don't really need the vibration plate at all. Aqua Cast is really good at, letting the bubbles out by itself. But if it's like a very detailed mould like this one, or a curved mould, I think that's when the vibration plate will be extra useful. So yeah, next time I will leave it on for longer and give it a little bit of a tap as well and see if that makes a difference. I left it for a day to dry out before sealing it, and here I'm using Clark's wax for stone and concrete. The reason I decided to use wax is because it darkens the Aqua Cast, and I thought I would get a really nice contrast because there's a lot of raised areas, and I thought the wax would go on the raised areas and leave the other areas without the wax to give that contrast and add some definition. In actual fact, I wish I hadn't. I wish I'd used the Hydroflow sealer, which would have just given it one, coat all over. I'd have used a brush, and it doesn't really darken the Aqua Cast. I liked it better the way it looked before I sealed it, but you live and you learn, don't you? Never mind. It was worth a try. So here it is, all finished, and I think it's beautiful. I really do. Even though I wasn't so happy with the kind of effect that I got with the wax. I wasn't quite so happy about that, but I still love it. And there's not too many air bubbles trapped, is there? Even though there's so much detail, that oscillating plate really helped. And like I said, I'm going to put it on for longer next time. The lid is flawless, absolutely flawless. And look, the inside is great too. Just a few places on the detailed area that weren't perfect. So all that was left to do was to add my candle wax. I'm using a double wick. I have been finding with my larger candles that a double wick works better. It's a wooden one from Buan Nicole, and it's being held in place with the magnetic plate underneath, and there's a little metal holder for the wick, and that's holding it in place so it doesn't move when I pour in the wax. Once the wax was cured, I clipped the wick to size. I usually leave it about 4mm. You don't want it too long because it won't work properly. So about 4mm for a wooden wick is fine. And it was ready. And I think the finished results are great. I will continue experimenting with the vibration plate. I'll try keeping the mould on there for longer, and I'll try changing the intensity of the vibration and see what I can manage. See if I can completely eliminate bubbles on detailed moulds like this. If you're interested in any of the products used in today's video, please check my video description for links and discount codes. If you haven't already subscribed and you would like to, please do. But most importantly, please do give me a thumbs up. That helps me a lot. And I will see you again next time. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.